Now, this next story has me all fired up, and I've been arguing with my friends constantly about this because I don't think people are looking at this story the right way. And I want to begin by letting you know that I'm a big proponent of digital media, obviously, because this is what I do for a living. And I see things that are happening in Congress and in the public discussion that threaten this business model, and I always like to bring these things up to give people some different perspectives as to where media is going. If we look on the macro level, I think the rise of digital media and all these platforms has brought far more good to the world than bad. Yes, some bad things have happened, but a lot of good things have happened, namely the ability for small independent voices to get an audience. Never before in human history has it been possible to have a single individual get their thoughts out to the world in a way that didn't require power, money, or both. And I think that's a really important thing to keep in the back of everyone's minds when you hear all this negativity floating around about YouTube and Facebook and all these other platforms that are out there. It's an amazing time to be alive. It's a great time for freedom, even though it doesn't always feel like we're in a free world right now. The fact is there's far more voices being expressed now than ever before, and that's a good thing. Digital media is more efficient. It's providing a means of making a living for millions of people around the world. This is going to be the future, whether you like it or not. Yet, the incumbent media is very concerned about the rise of digital because it's beginning to really eat into their market, into the money that they earn from advertising and other things that they do. And there's going to be a lot of effort to drum up a lot of fear about what digital media is and isn't. Because these folks are losing money every day, especially when elections come around. And there was a big hearing on Capitol Hill where Mark Zuckerberg was grilled by AOC and many others in regards to the fact that Facebook has said they're not going to screen candidate ads for truthfulness before they get posted. Now, you would think, oh my gosh, that's a terrible thing. How could they get away with that? But when you take a step back for a minute and look at what the law is surrounding incumbent media, you'll see that he's actually taking the same stance that the incumbent media is required by law to take, which is the fact that a broadcaster cannot take down a candidate ad even if it's completely untruthful. It is against the law. Check it out. The Communications Act of 1934 explicitly states that a TV station will have no power of censorship over the material broadcast by any such candidate. That is the law. A TV station or a radio station simply can't pull down an ad if they don't like the content, if it comes from a political candidate that has qualified for the ballot. And that is it. And it's surprising to me that Zuckerberg just totally blew it in the hearing. He could have threw this right back at them to say, look, the federal law that you all are under requires this of broadcasters. Why should I be held to a different standard? And I think he really missed an opportunity here, not only to defend his company's actions, but the entire industry in general. If we're going to have a set of rules apply to one competitor, it should apply to both. And I think it's just driving more of this narrative that somehow all of digital media is misleading and bad and awful. Now look, Facebook is no angel here. They have done a lot of bad stuff. But in this area, I think they're acting as their competitors are acting, and their competitors now are going to make hay with this. There's been a lot of media reports about this issue. Guess what? On broadcast media. Check out this little graph from Burrell Associates that kind of details the shift in spending on political advertising. I will let you have your own determination as to why we're spending so much money on political advertising. We'll talk about that another day. But in 2012, the presidential election, there was $9.4 billion spent on political advertising in total here in the United States. This includes other races beyond president, I believe. And then in 2016, $9.8 billion was spent. But look at the shift from broadcast television to digital. Broadcasters lost 13.2% of the market, and digital went up 12.7%. I believe this is like $1 billion here between 2012 and 2016 that got siphoned away from the broadcasters and made its way to digital platforms. And the reason is that digital is far more efficient. You can reach people in new and different ways. You can reach the people you're trying to reach as opposed to just sending out a blanket message. And in many ways, it's more affordable per person to make those messages get heard. And just economically, it makes more sense for campaigns to start looking at some of these digital options more seriously. And if you start looking at other pieces of the pie here, like direct mail and telemarketing and even a knock at the door, I don't know how you would police messaging without starting to trample on First Amendment rights. And I think we've got to give voters more credit than the media and those in politics do, because I think voters are a lot smarter than a lot of people think they are, and they know what they're doing. They do their homework, and I think we've got to give the voters the opportunity to make some judgments for themselves, and that is my biggest concern here. But the reality is here at the end of the day, there is no other political medium that has a truth police assigned to it, and I think it's wrong to just focus on the digital component here when we have a bigger pie here that is not under that rule at all, and in fact in one area is completely banned by law from looking at political ads for truthfulness. And they think that politicians should be telling the truth. They often don't, and that's just the reality, and it's up to voters to make the determination. But these laws really only apply to candidate ads. And as we all know, here in the US, there's a lot of third-party groups that do a lot of advertising as well. Broadcasters rarely pull down the third-party ads, which they have the ability to pull down if they are untruthful, but they're making so much money from them, they don't want to start doing it. And I think that's an area where we need better campaign finance rules to open up a window, put some sunlight into where this money is coming from for these third-party groups who by law right now don't have to disclose anything about where they get their money from. And I think that would go a long way to allowing us voters to see exactly what interests are driving the messages being sent out. And I think that would be far more effective for Congress to focus on than trying to develop some way to police the truth that might be coming out of the mouths of candidates. It's impossible to do that, but it's very possible for us to see exactly where some of this money is coming from. Incidentally, candidates have to do that, but all these third-party groups out there that support the candidates don't have to, and I think that would be a better place to start. There's a great article on this topic that you can see here on screen that really gets into the differences between candidate ads and some of these third-party ads, and I think it's definitely something worth taking a look at because this is one area of the law that hasn't been tested all that much yet, and it's a very interesting topic to me.
This channel is brought to you by the Lon.TV supporters, including gold-level supporters, the Four Guys with Quarters podcast, Chris Allegretta, Tom Albrecht, Brian Parker, and Kalyan Kumar. If you want to help the channel, you can by contributing as little as $1 a month. Head over to lon.tv/support to learn more. And don't forget to subscribe. Visit lon.tv/s.